the OnPoint Board of Directors meeting to order. First, the second thing on the agenda here is the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. I'll take the roll call at this time. Kimberly Bartnick.
Here.
Pam Brenner is excused. Ben Brookhouse here. Jessica Castaneda.
Here.
I was practicing for 30 days. Mark DeYoung. Here. And I myself, I am present. So
Good.
Beth Johnson,
Here.
Gals Kelsey.
Here.
Is Robin Clay online?
She's not.
And may I introduce Jane Levine.
I got married that.
Congratulations.
Karen Stratton
Here.
and Pastor Craig Van Beek.
Here.
We have a quorum. Next on the agenda is the provision for public comment. Is there anyone that in the meeting room that would like to address the board? Second call. Megan, is there anyone online?
Is there anyone online that would like to address the board regarding the agenda? Nope.
We will go and close the public, provision for public comment at this time. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Beth Johnson to approve,
Support.
support by Pastor Craig Van Beek. All in favor of the agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda. Is there any piece of the consent agenda that anyone would like to remove for further consultation by the board? Hearing none, looking at none. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Pastor Van Beek. Do I hear support? Support by Karen. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 7, Program Committee. Chairman Kelsey, with the Program Committee, you have the floor.
Okay. We had 2 presentations today, and I would encourage you to grab a copy if you didn't, because they're both really packed with information that I'm not going to try to repeat. But we did have a presentation on our prevention by Heidi Denton, and also our adult outpatient with Melissa Potkin. And Tracy Lang, who was someone new that I had never met before. And in particular, we talked about with the outpatient program and prevention both, you know, as far as how many people we're serving. And we had quite a discussion about the increase since CCBHC has come aboard as far as how many people are being seeking services each month and what the caseloads are and everything. And so I would encourage you, this page in particular, to look at. But otherwise, everything else was, can't think of anything else in particular to mention.
Is there any questions for Alice at this time on the program report? Hearing none, thank you very much for your report this evening. You have a motion that we need to address?
Yeah. I didn't know if we do it now or.
Yes, please.
Okay. The program committee recommends that the board adopt the program presentation schedule for the calendar year 2025.
Is that a motion? Do I hear support for the motion?
Support.
Support by Kimberly. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Kelsey, would you like to have a roll call made or just a
Voice
voice vote?
Voice vote, please.
Voice vote on this will be taken. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there any further business from the program committee?
No.
Number 8, finance committee report.
Okay,
Chairman Johnson.
okay, over on page 6, just to highlight some of the operations going on behind the scenes or around the services. The last little bit we're trying to get is approval from MDOT to run the cable in from the road and stuff. And our chair here found the contact that Mr. Woody is going to be calling, shortly. So as for technology on the bottom of page 6, that OS 360, it controls like cell phone usage and apps and so forth. And they're also looking at the Raymond IT consulting, not just for cell phone policy, but AI, cybersecurity, and so forth. And then Rubik's IT is kind of rolling over our old electronic medical records into the new, and that's going along just fine. The OnPoint has also been working with within the human resources on compensation and a new evaluation structure, and more education is coming for everyone on that. So I won't go too much further into that. And the last big note is that the trees were trimmed, and that's why all the cars were out front and it looked very, very busy. I'm like, my, oh my, what's going on?
We wondered the same thing.
I'm gonna skip over to the financial reports on page 11. We have, basically, this is the first month of the fiscal year, October 1st through the 31st. So you kind of have to take it lightly. You can't be overly concerned for just 31 days of business out of a whole fiscal year. But one thing to note is that the general fund down on the bottom is in a deficit of just over $78,000. And Andre's not here tonight, but Aaron, his counterpart and support person that trained him, was here. And they're working on getting retro payment on Medicaid, retro Medicaid. Am I saying that right, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then the timing of the second half of the month hasn't kind of fully been recorded and stuff. So they're looking at that being much different next month, basically. Okay, and then over on page 12, as 1/12 of the year is 8.33%. Two of our revenues are down at 6 and 6.8 and just over 5. The CCBHC capitation is, the revenue is a little low on that. And part of that happens because as a CCBHC, you have to bill the insurance companies. And so that looks like the revenue's low, but we have to wait for all those insurance payments before we can say it's actual revenue. And then the other one, the grants and earned contracts. Basically, again, you have to perform the grant or do whatever the grant says before you can capture the revenue or expenses. Other than that, that's the first 31 days of the new fiscal year for OnPoint. If we can slide back to page 8, We have a couple action items. The first one, per the usual, is pay the bills. And so on page 8, I make a motion, I make a motion that the OnPoint board approve the November 2024 disbursements totaling $3,329,884.70.
Do I have a support for that motion?
Support.
Support by Pastor Van Beek. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we're spending money. We're gonna have a roll call. Kimberly Barkman,
Yeah.
Glenn Brookhouse,
Yes.
Jessica Castellano,
Yes.
Mark DeYoung,
Yes.
Gail Dugan says yes. Beth Johnson,
Yes.
Alice Kelsey,
Yes.
Jane Levine,
Yes.
That's fine.
Karen Sved,
Yes.
and Pastor Greg Van Beek.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay, on page 9, we have a new contracted service for Concilium. And so I make a motion that the OnPoint board approve the following list of provider contracts for fiscal year 2025. Concilium.
Do I have a support for that motion?
Support.
Support by Kimberly. Is there any further questions or comments? This is a group of local doctors that,
That's what I was just gonna ask.
yes, that's their name, of their business name. So,
And what does locum tenens mean?
that's when you get into Latin, and I'll yield to Mr. Woody on that.
I'll have to refer to the dictionary and get back to you. I don't have Latin.
What are the?
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Woody, what are the doctors for?
So, the locum tenens is essentially a broker for doctors who are willing to work contractually for you. You don't hire them directly, you work through locum tenens to contract with them to have the doctor's time. So it's really, you think about, a manpower for doctors in the old sense of the word, that's kind of what it is. Word locum tenens means holding the place of. So. That's what that is.
Yeah, it's a temporary healthcare provider who fills in for another provider who is unavailable.
Temporary doc, manpower. There you go. Okay.
Being that we can add this to the list by a voice vote, I have a motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, motion carries.
That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Chairman Johnson. The next on our agenda is the Recipient Rights Advisory Committee.
We did meet.
Chairman Brookhouse.
Thank you. Our information is on page 16 and 17 of the packet. The total allegations for September through November are 24, which is going down, but is within the normal range. I understand there's an ebb and flow of days when when allegations are made. Our fiscal year timeline for report, we did have the one that was over 90 days. That was due to the need for additional investigation, but we are still within or above the 98% that the hours that we like to see. And going into 25, we do have nothing overdue as far as reports. And then we did approve the annual report to receive the CEO's signature, and that will be submitted to the state, and then the full board will be able to review that in January. That is the concise version of our meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions for Chairman Brookhouse?
Sorry, I broke my rule.
Sure.
No, it's not Michael.
Okay, Mrs. Johnson, you have a question?
Yeah, your allegations, you had a total of 24. 1/3 of them was under mental health services suited to condition. Is there any given reason that 1/3 of your allegations are under that?
I would ask Kelsey to answer that for you.
Just
I
one.
have mine.
Approaching the desk is our recipient rights officer, Kelsey Newsom.
So the
Kelsey?
simple answer is that it's the broadest category. So that category says that people aren't receiving services in accordance with how they're assessed and then what their treatment plan authorizes. So it might be that they're authorized to see their case manager once a month and they haven't seen them for a few months, and so they call and file a complaint. It might be that CLS staff are supposed to assist with a specific goal and they're not helping with that goal, they're only helping with the other goals. So that would fall under that category. So it's anything that the treatment plan and the assessment and the actual services provided aren't in line. So the broadest.
Are they,
Go ahead.
for a lack of a better term, because they're all legitimate, but are you finding a disconnect between actual services and the treatment plan?
Yeah, yes, yeah. That I will pull it when we do our, annual report. Nope, I have it in front of me. So we had 29 total allegations in that category, last fiscal year, and 10 of them were substantiated. So they're not all substantiated by means, but, so that's about 30% roughly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What do you think the factor is? Like lack of, like, new employees? I mean, we're getting more and growing and everything. Is it a new employee thing or a communication disconnect that?
I think it could be all of those. The bulk of them were with contracted providers, a handful were with internal staff. So I think there's different like reasoning behind those. I know that we as an agency have been focusing a lot on making sure that the staff that we're paying to provide the service, were trained on it efficiently. So I would hope that that will help reduce it overall. I think something else worth considering is that it's different than neglect and that there's not a risk of harm.
Right.
So, like if it's medication related and there's a risk of harm when you're not receiving your medication.
Right.
And we had, you'll get this next one too, but we had 20 of our 27 neglect allegations were substantiated last fiscal year. So, I'll do some more digging before I bring that full annual report to you to see if there's any, theories we can come up with, but I personally am much more concerned about the abuse of neglect. Than I am
Right,
about
sure,
services.
sure. It was just a number that popped
Yep.
out.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Oh,
Mr. Whittier.
Sharon, if I could just clarify too, in the report that, Mr. Burkhouse gave, we talked about the submission of the state report. The Recipient Rights Committee recommended or approved that today, but you will receive a copy of that report and authorize its submission next month's meeting. No?
It's authorized for submission. It's submitted by the end of this month.
Okay.
And then it goes to full board for information only.
Okay,
Yeah, so they receive all of the data.
all right.
But
My
don't-
mistake, I had it backwards in our board, tasks. So we'll correct that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for me?
Any other questions, Mrs. Johnson?
no, thank you.
Is there any other questions from anyone else? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Kelsey. Thank you very much for your report this evening, Chairman Brookhouse. Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is the LRA update. Do we have Stephanie Vandekoy on tonight? Stephanie Vandekoy, thank you for being here tonight. You have the floor.
Great, thank you so much. My apologies for not being there in person. My schedule did not permit it tonight. I will be brief. I have just a couple updates for you. Just wanted to let you know tomorrow is our Board of Directors meeting. We are going to be having a work session at 11 a.m. where we're going to have a company called Wakely. They're a company with another company called HMA, Health Management Associates, come in for us at 11 a.m. and do a presentation on our ISF, or Internal Service Fund. I think we've shared that with you before. I guess my best way to describe that is kind of the rainy day fund. They're going to be going through an analysis of where they think we should be. So just wanted to let you know that'll be tomorrow. And then we also have our board meeting at 1 o'clock. And if you would like a link, we do have it available via Zoom. Otherwise, it is being held in Muskegon at the Grand Valley, Muskegon location where it has been for the last couple of years. One of the things that's going to be discussed tomorrow at our board meeting is an update as it relates to the MDHHS contract with the PIHPs. I know I mentioned this last month when I was here. I had indicated that of the 10 PIHPs across the state of Michigan, 5 signed the MDHHS agreement, 5 have not, and that does include us at LRE. 4 of the 5 have entered into litigation with the state. LRE has not, and all of those matters will be discussed tomorrow during our board meeting. So I anticipate it being a very robust conversation with our board to determine next steps for us as a group on what we would like to do that would be best for the region. One of the other things I wanted to mention as well too is I know there was some concern before from this group regarding some of the overspending that we've seen at a neighboring CMH. We did work with that neighboring CMH, which is Network 180, to hire a utilization management consulting firm. They're called the Center for Health Research and Transformation. They often go by CHRT or CHART. They're based out of the University of Michigan. They're going to be going into Network 180 now. We just signed the contract through the middle of April to really take a deep dive of their utilization management practices to make sure that they're doing things that, you know, medically make sense, but also will help with finances as well. So probably my best way to describe it is, you know, just a really good look under the hood, if you will. The hope with this is that obviously they learn from it, but this is a company that I know when I met with them, I was very impressed, that I can't help but think some of the lessons learned could be applied to our other members of the region as well. So I really look forward to this partnership, and I will keep this group updated monthly, just so this group has awareness. The contract's been signed, and at this point they're doing what they call kind of that data collection, research to make sure that they have everything they need so that they can start to really dive into the data. So they're going to be doing that for the next 3 weeks, and then about middle of January, then they're going to start with their next phase, and we are meeting with them weekly to make sure that we're providing them what they need and giving them updates. So this is a joint venture between LRE and Network 180. One other item I will just mention as well is related to contracts. I think the last time I came here, maybe I mentioned this, but if I haven't, I'm very excited to announce all 5 of our CMHSPs in the region have signed the contract between LRE and the CMHs. So very excited about that and look forward to the great work that we can do in the region and put that aside. So that took about 1.5 years to get that completed. And at this point, I think those are all my updates. So Mr. Chairman, I am all set with my report.
Thank you very much this evening, Ms. Van Coy. Is there any questions that anyone has? Yes, Alice has a question for you, Stephanie.
Okay.
Just curious, is there anything in the contract that Network 180 signed that said, that they are, willing to, go along with whatever recommendations, implement whatever recommendations that this organization might suggest? Is that part of the?
Yes,
is it
it is
just
part
they-
of the contract. Yes.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes, Jane.
Just curious, where are those monies coming from that's paying for that contract?
Network 180 is able to pay for that, and then LRE is paying for a portion of it as well. So it's being split 50-50.
That's part of the administrative budget that LRE has and Network 180 has. So. Is there any other questions for Mrs. Van Coy? Hearing none, thank you very much for your report this evening, Stephanie.
Great, thank you.
Have a good- Going on to the chairman's report. We met on the 13th. It was a good Friday. And we went through a lot of different things. We had the update on the OnPoint contract, which we have been informed that Mark had signed. We also had an update on the MDHHS to the PIHP contract with the update on that. We also had the executive director items that he wanted to discuss. We went through all those, and some of those are progress is being made and taken care of. We reviewed the key board tasks by month, which you have a copy of that, and Mark will correct that for January. And we had the review of the meeting packet, which everyone has in front of you. And I also briefed everyone on my notes from the CMHA board meeting of 12/6. We meet on a quarterly basis, and I'm part of that. Was nominated by my cohorts, Mr. Whitty and Mr. DeYoung. So I gave a report on that. With that, is there any other questions for me this evening? That's the short, simple. Trying to stay up with this Johnson here. Hearing none, I do have two motions that we need to take care of under the chairman's executive committee report. If you turn to page number 33, and you have beyond that, ahead of that, the job description of our executive director and essential functions, summary of objective. We have the competencies, supervisory responsibilities, the core values, the environment, required education and experience, and preferred education and experience. We also have additional eligibility requirements, work authorization and security clearances requirements, and EEO statement. And then this has to be signed by myself and by the Bonnie, who is Human Resources. So at this time, I will make a motion that the executive committee recommends to the board to approve the revised job description for the OnPoint Chief Executive Officer position. I will summarize the summary is there for everyone to see. Is there a support for that motion?
Support. Support.
Nobody raised their hand, you just spoke up, so let's, well, please raise your hand so I can acknowledge whoever's supporting this.
Support.
Support by Mrs. John. You're trying to make this hard for me, Beth. Just for clarification, do we have to have a roll call on this, or can it be a voice vote? Is there any questions or discussion on the job description? Hearing none, I will ask for a voice vote. Everyone in favor of this amended job description, please say yes.
Yeah.
All opposed? Motion carries. On the next page, we are, at this point, need to set the calendar for our board meetings. On page number 34, you have the meeting dates that are proposed in the second column for all these different committees and the full board. Is there a motion? Or I'll move this and I'll be looking for support. Support by Alice. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Voice vote. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion carries. To, round out my, report here, I do have to start looking at appointments for the coming year. If there's anyone that would like to, have a change of position on a different committee or try something else out, please go ahead and, get a hold of me so I can start setting these committee appointments up for, March. And and especially for the nominating committee, I didn't want everyone to think that it's just a select few that get to choose leadership here. If anybody would like to sit on the nominating committee, please get a hold of me. And so I can set that nomination committee up for January. With that is the main of my report. Anyone have any questions? All right. We will go on with the rest of the agenda. Number 12. Mr. Whitty, your report, sir.
I'll move over here for the benefit of those that are sitting on the same side of the table like us. Do you want to say anything about the evaluation feedback sheets?
Well, I was going to go and
Or is that toward the?
sort of hand them out as we were going to look at it.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. I won't jump the gun on that. My report is on page 35 of your packet. And just a few highlights, most of which are all written there already for you. First of all, very happy to announce that we have hired a chief operating officer who will start on January 13. Her name is Gina Kerber, and comes to us very well regarded as the chief executive or executive director of autism services at Residential Opportunities in Kalamazoo. And she served there for 6 years in that capacity and in other capacities before that. So very, very happy about that. We're going to be well taken care of through that appointment. She does also have a fair amount of exposure. You know, a lot of folks will know of her work in the autism arena, but she really does have a broader depth of experience. And I'm just really thankful that we were able to, learn that through the interview process, and look forward to what she will deliver, not only in what we could do to continue to shine in the autism area, but to use her experience more broadly to bring us where we want to go with our teams and programs. Secondly, under the board item, I'll note that earlier this evening, I received on your behalf a resignation notice from Pastor Craig Van Beek that is not effective till tomorrow. He's here tonight, but he will, of course, be assuming his responsibilities soon as a county commissioner. And county commission, well, the rules of the commission are that you can't have a majority of the commissioners on a county board other than the commission. So with Commissioner DeYoung and Dugan already here, commission will have to make some decisions, but to ease that process, Pastor Van Beek is submitting his resignation, so that allows the county commission to proceed with an appointment. And we'll see 2 commissioners here, no matter how that goes. As I believe we put in the executive committee report last month, there is a person who applied to be on our board before, when we didn't have an opening, because we were reappointing folks that wanted to be reappointed. So we put that in on the side box for later consideration, and now confirmed that that's still an interest for her. And so her name and application will be brought back before the county commission for consideration in due time in January. So that's all I'll say for that. But thank you already, I'll say, Pastor Van Beek, for your time and service to this board. I note that the winter conference for the Community Mental Health Association, you've received notice by email about that. Again, the invitation is for you to attend. One slight notice is that the behavior treatment plan development session that was identified has been canceled, and the only one left for the pre-conference is the leadership life cycles. But the rest of the conference is certainly worth attending on Tuesday and Wednesday in the Kalamazoo area. I'll skip over the community pieces, just know that we had nice visits from folks from the community and around the state recently. We've already heard about on the number 4 about the contract signatures, and you heard from Stephanie the report on the PHP contract. Again, the issues of discrepancy amongst the 5 CMA or PHPs that did not sign the contract involves these 3 bullet items here: the direct worker pay issue from the Yevon settled law school lawsuit settlement, the reductions to the ISF, the risk protections that the PHPs need to carry, and that report tomorrow that will be being reviewed by the LRE board from their actuaries about what that amount should be, will be reported to the board members as well in excess of that 7.5%. So that's a point of contention. And finally, the discrepancies in the language between what the PHP contract says versus what the state's CCBHC handbook says on the issue of CCBHC. So they have also remedied their problem related to calling for an additional board meeting when needed. So that's a positive there. I'll defer to Chair Dugan on anything related to the CMH Association board meeting, but I could put in writing the report I have there. And finally, just a couple of notes. I've added an attachment to your packet and then a subsequent attachment that just came late Friday night related to work being done in the legislature to wrap up the legislative year. Anything not done in the next couple of session days is done for the year and has to start over from scratch in January. So what I would probably draw your attention to is the final page that has some yellow highlights. If you want to see details on the bills that are updated, you have to refer to the one that's in the original packet. I think the things that are of interest to us really are the most would be the second item on tobacco use, sales, and prevention. As this was has passed the full House on Friday, December 13. There are bills that are already in the Senate that were referred to the House. And so there's a question of whether or not there's enough days left for them to reconcile the bills. The really important piece about this is that this would license providers of tobacco products to the state. Alcohol, sales establishments are licensed. Tobacco retail establishments are not. If you violate laws of the Liquor Control Commission in sales, the license of the owner is in jeopardy. If you violate the law of the Tobacco Distribution Act, the clerk is on the hook, but not the owner of the store. And it's really important in this day and age when we start to see so much proliferation of tobacco products, vaping products, things that really we don't know. And you try to get a handle on it. We actually are the agency with the LRE that are responsible to keep track of where sales are happening. If a new store pops up and we have to include it in our database of places that we have to do checks on, there's no entity that tells us that entity is there other than our own eyeballs and reports from the community, because there's no licensing or regulation of tobacco outlets. So that's an important one for us to be aware of, and supports the tobacco cessation work that our agency does under contract with the LRE. The other one that I think is really important for us as an agency is on the issue, the fourth one down on House Bills 53, 71, and 72, where the CCBHC programs would be put into law in Michigan as opposed to simply a benefit under the Medicaid program and a thing at the federal level. This was passed out and passed at the full House. It's at the Senate. They can concur with it and pass it on to the governor. They have one more opportunity to do so. We'll see what happens. I think the rest of these of interest to this board, I think would be the second one from the bottom. Senate Bill 870 about the Open Meeting Act. There's waiting for final approval on the House floor. You can see that the bill would amend the Open Meetings Act, which is what we operate under here, to allow for an appointed member of a public body who has a disability to allow them to participate remotely and engage in deliberation and voting. So that's one step in the positive direction of allowing for more remote access for individuals who have disabilities to participate in open meetings and be appointed to boards like ours. I think, I'll let it stop there. The broader change to the Open Meetings Act was, certainly no motion expected there, but it'll probably come up again next year. So try to keep you informed on that, but legislative action during this lame duck period is a bit of a, I think the lobbyists are calling it a hot mess. A lot of activity, a lot of hijinks and entertaining on the one level, but important matters are up for decisions, and we just kind of keep track of what's moving and what's not, so we can keep abreast of changes as they happen. But that's all I have for you, unless there are questions.
Is there any questions for Mr. Whitty? Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
As Mark alluded to, I just handed out the chief executive evaluation survey form. This is your homework. You can see that there's a due date on it of this January 10th. It needs to be back in Megan or myself. If you'd like to do it electronically, Megan can help you out with that. This is important because it's part of our contractual obligations between the executive director and ourselves to a fair evaluation. The executive board have expanded the numbers a little bit to have it more succinct and give a better description of our feelings of how he's doing. And please fill that out. We also have expanded the survey for the department heads to get a internal perspective. So please, over the holidays, fill this out and get it back to us so we can appropriately get this task done. With that, if there's any questions, so feel free to get a hold of me or talk to me after the meeting. With that, going on to the provision of public comment on any topic. Is there anyone in the boardroom that would like to address this? I'm interested in sugar cookie recipe, but done. Second call. Mrs. Hamilton, is there anyone online?
Is there anyone online that would like to address the board? No.
We'll close the provision for public comment. Board member comments. We'll start over on this side with the newlywed.
Thank you. I just want to say, everyone have a happy holiday, spend as much time as you can with your family, and see you again in January.
Glenn?
I'd like to thank Pastor Lee for his service. It's been a pleasure to serve on committees and board with him, and wish him the best. And happy holidays.
September 9, 2021, I submitted my application for the board. So it's been a few years, but it's been a great growing experience. It's been wonderful working with each of you. I will continue, if commissioners see fit, to serve on the LRE. That is my intent. So I will still be in this mix a little bit. Not specifically on this board, but still in the mix with Alice and Jim. So we'll be representing you guys there. But I just want to say thank you for being so kind, welcoming me, working with me over these years. And just thank you and Merry Christmas.
And thank you for serving on this board, but I'll continue working with you on your next journey. So, and everyone, Merry Christmas.
Mrs. Johnson?
I want to say, I only asked 2 questions tonight, and I thought it was very good. No, happy holidays, to everyone.
Alice?
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm so grateful and happy that Craig and Jim can continue to be on the LRE board with me, because I really think that's gonna be very helpful for us to have that so that no one's starting from scratch, because it's a huge,
thing to try to wrap your head around as far as all of that, so. I'm really grateful that we can work that out.
Karen?
I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas and glad to be here.
Kimson?
Same thing, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Jessica?
Yes. Yeah, Happy New Year. See you guys next year.
And as I usually do, I will wrap this up on the congratulatory notes. It's been a pleasure working with you here at this board. We didn't let you off the hook. We've already appointed you to LRA. So, we expressly appreciate the questions that you ask at that level. And we congratulate you on that success. And look forward to working with you on the board too. Thanks. So, other than that, this organization has suffered some tragedies over the past year. And it also has achieved great things. And our organization has become stronger for it. And even though this season, dark and gloomy outside, we're there supporting the people that are overwhelmed by the busyness. And we're the shining light for mental health and also physical health in the county of Valley. I congratulate our people that we have out here doing the work in the trenches. I congratulate all of you for being loyal participants on this board. And wish the best for the next and new year coming up. I want to deeply thank you for everything that you bring to this board. The expertise, the insight, the heart. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Motion by Pastor Van Beek to adjourn. Do I hear a support?
Support.
Support said something.
Everybody's fine. I did both.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Be safe out there.